Okay, calls back into session. Would the clerk please call the roll to reestablish quorum?
Yes, Hanson.
Here.
Bruins.
Present.
Carr.
Here.
Frost.
Here.
Guerra. Harris. Hume.
Here.
Lee.
Here.
McGarvey.
Here.
Morin.
Here.
Nottoli.
Here.
Orozco.
Here.
Peters. Serna.
Here.
Villegas.
Here.
Warren. Kennedy.
Here.
And you have a quorum.
Thank you. Council, is there anything to report out of closed session?
No, there's not.
Thank you. Next item.
Okay. Acting as Sacramento County Sanitation District's Financing Authority and Sacramento Regional County Sanitation District, item number 1 is your consent matter.
Move approval.
Motion by Hanson, second by Nottoli. Is there any questions, comments of, board members or the public? All right. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstain? Next item.
Item number 2 is comments from the public on issues not on the posted agenda.
I have no cards. Is there any member of the public that would like to speak on an issue not on the agenda? Thank you.
Item number 3, acting as Sacramento Regional County Sanitation District and Sacramento Area Sewer District, item number 3 is your district consent matters.
Move consent. Second.
We have a motion by Director Hume, second by Director Carr. Any other questions, comments?
Just a quick question
All right, Director Frost.
regarding the interim report, the non-rate and non-fee revenue agreement. I read through that, and I was just curious to know when the economic development grant program was going to be coming to the board so that we would have more information on that.
That would be item 4, so can we address that under item 4?
Sure. Oh, I'm sorry.
This is item 2.
Okay, I'm sorry. My
Okay,
bad.
we have a motion and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstain?
Item number 4, interim report on the non-rate and non-fee revenue and reserve programs.
So Christoph is going to make a short presentation to where we are, and then we can answer your question.
The presentation for item 4. Good morning, Chair and board members. My name is Christoph Dobson. I'm the Director of Policy and Planning for Regional San and the Sacramento Area Sewer District. And I am going to give you a little status report on our non-rate and non-fee revenue and reserve use policy. And we're also calling it the Confluence Program. I'll talk a little bit more about that. Claudia Goss in Public Affairs is sick today. She was going to do that part of the presentation, but I'll explain the changeover to the Confluence Program. So a little bit of background on the program. The non-rate, non-fee revenue is just like it says, not from rates and not from fees. And because of that, it's somewhat discretionary in how you use that money. It still needs to be focused in on our mission and vision, but you have a little more discretion as a board. Where it comes from is interest on our reserves, sale of assets, sale of biogas, recycled water, those types of things all count towards the non-rate, non-fee revenue. And then just this past year, your boards approved policies for both districts on the use of this non-rate, non-fee revenue. And in those policies, we had 5 program areas. The Sewer Lifeline Rate Assistance is our rate assistance for our lower income customers. There's also an area on environmental stewardship, regional economic development, public education, and then kind of a catch-all category for other issues or projects that come up. Give you a sense of the dollars available for Regional San. It's about $6 million annually. About half of that is set aside for the Sewer Lifeline program to make sure that that's fully funded. Then there's up to $1.25 million that goes towards environmental stewardship projects. And within that, there are actually 2 programs. One is the American River Parkway, and there's a minimum $500,000 expenditure there. And then also septic tank conversion program, where we convert over septic tanks to the public sewer system. and that's also a minimum $500,000. Then we have up to $1 million a year for economic development, up to $500,000 per year for public education, and then the other categories remaining $250,000. Now, SASD's program is similar. The dollar amounts are a little bit different and a little smaller, but we have the same 5 programs. In this case, the Lifeline program is up to $350,000 per year. The environmental stewardship program is the $225,000 per year, and the 2 subcategories there's a minimum expenditure of $100,000 for the American River Parkway and $100,000 for the septic tank conversion. Then for economic development, we have up to $225,000 per year, $100,000 for public education, and then $100,000 for the remaining funds. So that's a total of $1 million for SASD. All right, so a little bit about confluence. When you get a bunch of engineers and accountants in the room, they come up with names like non-rate, non-fee revenue use policy. So fortunately, we have some smart people in our public affairs office who came up with the idea and the name of Confluence to essentially represent a grant program with all of these different areas all together into one program. So the word confluence means the coming together typically of rivers or ideas or functions. So it reflects our 2 local rivers, the Sacramento and American River, coming together, as you see in the picture. It's also about the 2 districts, Regional San and SASD, coming together, as well as the districts coming together with local public agencies and other stakeholders in the region to provide benefit to the region. So that's the idea behind Confluence. And here's the branding that you see. It's called the Confluence Regional Partnership Program. If you notice in the O in the confluence, that's actually a representation of the 2 rivers coming together there. So you kind of see where the American and Sacramento come together. We have a program website that's up and running. There's actually 2 kind of parallel websites so that you can get there either from the Regional San or the SASD website. They look almost identical, slightly different colors, but the information's the same. Provide some background. We have the ability for people to ask questions about the program. There is a form where you can make a funding request. Essentially, it's a grant application. As we build structure to the program, get more guidelines, we'll include that as well so that there's some transparency there. And then also we'd like to, in the future, as we have some successes with some of this funding, be able to highlight those successes on the website as well. We're trying to keep the application process as simple as possible. People often complain about getting grants that cost more to administer than they're getting money for. So we wanted to keep it short and simple. It's a 1-page online form. At the same time, we want to make sure that the funding is justified and that we're making sure that this money is going towards efforts that are consistent with the guidelines that are improved in the policy. So we do have a portion there for them to explain how it would fit with the goals of the program. And then, of course, we will have requirements for agencies that get the funding. They typically need to do some regular reporting so that we have information that we can then use to report back to your board. We also, when we can, we try and do branding. If we're funding a piece of equipment, for example, we may get the Confluence logo on there somewhere. And basically just some requirements to make sure, again, that they're using the money appropriately. All right, so highlight a few of the upcoming projects, or recent and upcoming projects. A lot of the work has been involved with Sacramento County Parks. We have funded a number of pieces of equipment, some specialized equipment as well for removing human and hazardous waste. We've also funded some contract labor. As many of you know, Jeff Leatherman in Parks, Sacramento County Parks, has a very robust program. They have cleaned up over 500 tons of trash from the American River Parkway, and we're just chipping in and helping with that program to some degree.
What's the picture of the bottom corner?
That's actually, I'm going to touch on it in a moment, but it's actually a bunch of equipment that we funded for the American River Parkway Foundation. So it's equipment that's not trash. Some of the other projects, this is something that your board already saw earlier, but it actually fits in the category of non-rate, non-fee revenue, and that is for Yolo County to do cleanup of abandoned boats on the Sacramento River. We've also started working, actually we're quite a way into working on putting together a project to remove the septic systems in the community of Freeport. So that's about $625,000 between the two districts that is going towards that program. The nice thing about that is that there's a lot of state funding available, so we're leveraging a lot of grant money to make that project move forward. We are also working right now on a project with the Regional Water Board. You may have heard there have been some elevated E. coli numbers that they found in some of their tests, and so that we're actually helping to fund a study to determine the source of that, that E. coli, as well as funding some of the facilitation for that effort. Some of the other projects I mentioned, American River Parkway Foundation, we also got some specialized equipment for them related to invasive plant removal, and then we're helping to fund some of their cleanup events. On the issue of economic development, we're in the process of developing a program to offset commercial impact fees. As your board may remember, we already made a change to the ordinance to allow industrial fees to be paid over a 30-year time period so that it's very low upfront cost. And then on the commercial side, we're using this, some of this confluence money for the purpose of offsetting impact fees. What we've done so far is we're working with the economic development staff from the cities and the county to basically develop a program that right now we're looking at something like a 50% offset of commercial impact fees, and it's tied to job creation, that sort of thing. But we're basically working with the economic development staff to craft that program. We're hoping to start getting that rolling actually in March, so coming up fairly soon. Some of the other things that we have going, Meet the Fleet is something that SASD is looking at doing. That's similar to the Touch the Truck events that you may have heard of in the past. Public service folks that have heavy equipment, get kids out there and families, and of course then you can share some of the messages that we want to do, like fog messages and things like that. And additionally, and there will be a separate item on this, but we're looking at additional funding for the Powerhouse Science Center, which would go into the public education category. Some of the next steps I mentioned in March, we're talking about beginning to take applications for the economic development. We are in the process of applying for state grant funding. We've already started that for the Freeport septic conversion project, but we're also looking at a couple other projects. We'll have a public meeting for Hood in March, and we're also going to be having a public meeting for kind of old Florentown area probably in April. So we're starting to look at areas that could potentially use this money for to get them off of septic systems. And again, we have the website, and folks have the ability to go and submit an application request, so we'll be processing those as they come in.
Director Serna.
With that,
thank
questions?
you, Chair. Thanks for the report back on this. I think it's a great program. It's well branded. I want to specifically thank staff for listening to the loudest squeaky wheel on the parkway, and that seems to be front and center with the presentation and obviously the activities that have been engaged thus far. using this pool of discretionary funding. I was using the website as you were giving the presentation and navigating to try and get to the Confluence page. It's a little cumbersome to get there. I've not seen anything on the kind of on the home page where we let folks know about various programs. I'm not necessarily suggesting it has to be that prominent, but I wasn't sure, for instance, whether it's under the environmental protection pull down, or I had to go searching for it a bit, and then I finally found it under sustainability and innovation. So
right.
I'm not sure if that's a Claudia task or not, but you might give it some thought about maybe how to make it a little more easily accessible for folks to find.
Will do.
Thank you.
Yeah, it's a couple clicks away, but you have to know what category to begin with to get to it. So.
And that maybe for the initial, how long has it been up and running on the website?
Maybe a few weeks or so. Yeah.
So maybe for next couple months, it's in a more prominent place on the homepage, and then once people get used to it, then you can.
Good idea.
Else. Thanks.
Director Frost.
I noticed in your tables that most of the categories weren't maxed out as far as people taking advantage of those opportunities, except for the septic conversion. Are there people waiting in line, or did you feel that there were additional, like there's a higher need for the septic conversion as far as people needing help with that?
I think it's more a matter of timing. All of these programs are brand new to us. So the septic tank conversion, we're actively working with the Freeport community, and that project in itself can use up the annual funding for a year that's associated with septic tank conversion. But some of the other programs, we're just beginning to do them. So there's still money available. So you don't have a
backlog? There's not a backlog of people waiting for that?
No, there is no backlog.
I was just
once the word gets out, I'm sure the backlog will come. I mean, we're
trying to build a backlog, actually.
Seems like that would be a big demand for that.
That's why we have these categories, so we can kind of keep those within that, especially the economic development. I hear early feedback from the cities and the county this is great. Really, this is the only thing that's available to help for businesses that want to relocate here, and especially waiving up to 50% of their impact fees, and also being able to pay over a 30-year period for certain classes. That's a big benefit for folks, and they're really excited to see that. But I would expect once we open it up, and I would expect that to be going pretty quickly.
So if I was a property owner and I wanted to put a granny flat in my backyard, and there would be fees associated with that, is there any place in here for help
we
with
won't
that?
charge it for granny flats. The current ordinance is that this is called ancillary dwelling, and there's no charge for that.
There's no charge for adding
a
to
granny
a
flat.
property?
No.
Okay, thank you.
Director Nottoli.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. A couple questions. One on the abandoned vessel contribution, $25,000, and I know that Director Villegas brought that forward, but do we need more money in that category? So I mean,
we're going to be working with
I'm just saying, having had some presentations about what it costs to remove vessels, $25,000, you can burn through that in a
especially if you got one that's just broke loose and started going down. That's a very expensive one to
Yeah. Yeah, you're absolutely right. Actually, the cost of just that one vessel, on preliminary estimates, is well over $100,000. So we've applied for some state grant funds too. So rather than simply going to the same well over and over, but yeah, it's possible that we're going to probably end up with a little more to kind of get ahead of it, or get upstream, if you will, on some of these abandoned vessels.
So when would you be bringing that to us? Again, we put the $25,000 in some months ago. You applying for grants?
So we don't need to come back here for because that was started before we started this program. Right. So Yolo County and Sacramento County are the jurisdictions that assume these are the two that are primary in cleaning up these boats. They have the ability to apply now without having to come back to the board.
Okay.
So as long as there's money available and we prioritize and that money can be made available.
So maybe a little more of a coordinated approach. I know that in Sacramento County, it's overseen by the Sheriff's Department, and they have abandoned vessel. They get a grant annually of several $100,000, which allows them to remove some of the ones that pose the most danger, most hazard, and so forth. But it seemed to me that, again, the sanitation district, having this opportunity, we got to coordinate because, again, when that river flows down, it can hit side to side, and I don't know, Oscar, with regards to Yolo County, who carries that as a sheriff's department there, carries it out as well. So maybe some additional coordination, because if there's money, I don't know that our sheriff's department is aware that they can apply for the money.
So again, we could reach out and let them know, or that way they at least have a place where they can look for funding.
Because it would supplement what we're doing.
Yeah.
So.
But it really doesn't cost that much to just push them over to the other side of the river.
To the Yolo side.
Right.
That's right. No, it
You
doesn't.
can pay to push them back and forth.
And it doesn't cost that much to push it back over again.
And that's how it's usually done, right? Just one other follow-on then. It relates to the category for assisting with some of the commercial properties. As we look at the Delta towns, and I know we've had the conversation with the Freeport community, we have commercial properties there as well. And so some of the backbone infrastructure can go in there, but the connection fees and some of those, looking at credits that the county still has, can offset some of that. So I guess my question is, though, as you look at these other communities, whether it's Old Florentown or it's Hood or Freeport or other communities, are those monies available then to help as a part of the contribution? You're putting a lot of different pots together.
Not from the economic development side. So the way that the economic development program, or the $1 million that we have, or maybe close to $1.25 million if we add the SASD to it, is structured is, these are the new businesses, are relocating, creating jobs in this region. So the way that the current draft policy, which we shared with the folks, reads is, if you create between 5 and 10 jobs, you get a 25% discount or offset in your impact fees. Or 10 to 20, you get 40%, and over 20 jobs, then it's 50%. So that's how it is. So in the case of Freeport, these are the existing commercial entities who would, again, get the help from our septic tank conversion side of it, not necessarily from the economic development side of it.
But there is a distinction, because we've had that conversation with the community between the residential and the commercial.
Oh, absolutely.
And I think as you bring sewer, maybe there's some opportunities that haven't yet materialized in any of those communities. So would they be eligible going forward then if you had a restaurant that wanted to relocate and was going to employ 5 or 10 people? They could then have an opportunity for a new connection?
So if it's a new connection, if they're a new restaurant that they're developing, and if they're falling in, they will get that from the economic development side of it.
I just
but if it's an existing, we certainly can look at the septic tank.
We got to be creative with it. But okay.
And it's new or expansion. So if the same restaurant on the same property doubled in size and had additional impact fees, that would be eligible.
There's some opportunities in Hood. I know you've heard from some of the folks down there, and maybe in Old Florentown. Maybe in Old Florentown, I would assume the same. That I
would imagine in Florentown, there are businesses that we would be helping with this pot of funds.
Absolutely. Director Bruins.
Thank you. Specific to the septic tank conversion project and in general to the Confluence program as a whole, in addition to the website presence, what efforts are we taking to market this to the public?
For the specific septic tank side of things?
Well, I'm interested in that, of course, but but the Confluence as a whole, how are we reaching out to our constituents, our ratepayers, our customers, if you will, to let them know what's available to them?
Yeah. So septic tank, because we are really targeting the first couple, 3 years tied to the state, because state has a lot of grant money. It sunsets in 2021. We want to be able to use that leveraging to the extent we can with this funds. And so we've kind of looked at all the different areas in our service area who are still in the septic tanks, and looking at their economics and see which one is eligible for 75% grant or which one is eligible for 100% grant. So we're targeting those first.
Okay, so we're reaching out to those property
That's
owners.
correct. So in that is where we're meeting with the hood. We have a public meeting, and then also we've reached out to Director Kennedy, where there are 2 communities that are eligible for 100% grant for the residential folks, but not the commercial. We're going to need to help that. Our thought at this point is, if we can, when the state money is available, to really go aggressively after that pot of money and leverage it and bring as many communities into the service area, that's where the money is best spent. Then once that is gone, that money is available for any entity or any person that essentially have a failing septic tank would be able to apply and may be able to get $10,000, $15,000 grant in converting their conditions. So we haven't really aggressively marketed, because we're targeting these funds to where we can get a big bang for the buck.
Okay.
But we will continue to do that as we go.
And the whole Confluence program as a whole, are we putting that in any of our publications that get sent to our ratepayers through the mail, or with their invoices or anything like that?
We're early into it. I think we're going to be reaching out to you as well here, because each of you have a newsletter. Many of you have newsletters that we want to put in there. And also in our communities that we serve, the cities and the areas that are incorporated, is we'll find a way to their newsletters to kind of get that word out.
All right. Thank you.
One just addition on that. The economic development one, since we're working with the counties and cities, they're talking about putting that information in their own brochures that they're doing, as well as putting things at public counters. One of the things we're finding is that each of these program areas is very different, has a different set of stakeholders, and probably a different way to outreach. So we're early in developing that. But
I do know that our staff does promote the economic development aspect of it with the sewer credits. So I'm imagining the other cities do as well as the county. So, thank you.
Okay, any other questions? Thank you, Rista.
thank you.
Next item.
Acting as Sacramento Regional County Sanitation District and Sacramento Area Sewer District, item number 5, authorize the district engineer to negotiate revisions to the agreements with the Powerhouse Science Center for exhibit sponsorships.
I'll have a few comments made, and in audience we have Powerhouse Science Center folks, their executive director, a number of staff are there to answer questions. Powerhouse Science Center, this project is in the works for some time, and this is a science museum. Those of you, I'm sure you all know where that building is going to be. As you're driving on I-5, it's sitting there waiting to be housed with all these wonderful exhibits. So Regional San and SASD have entered into partnership with the Powerhouse Science Center a number of years ago. We wanted our exhibits in the water gallery. The reason for it is both districts often suffers from the lack of education or the recognition on part of our service population. It's very important that we have our folks be educated about what our services are and what do's and the don'ts. Most importantly, don'ts, because that actually helps us. With that in mind, we entered into these agreements so that ultimately the exhibits would be developed and they would be housed there, providing educational opportunities for all the schools in the region. Powerhouse Science Center had it took some time to get to where they are, and obviously there were expenses that along the way, and the cost of building has changed since it was originally planned and programmed. They also found that they needed, they have already secured a bond, there's another bond that they were trying to secure. They needed some firm commitments. So they reached out to us about 3 weeks ago, 2.5, 3 weeks ago, in the form of Director Hansen, give me a call and say, there's really, what can Regional San and SASD do to help? We're always looking for opportunities to increase our awareness and presence with the community. Especially, we wanted to hit the school kids and their families with our messages, with our information. And so this obviously, this is something that where it fits our needs well, and to make sure to see how we can make this as a reality. So what we're asking today is two things. One is, we had these commitments that we made 4 years ago, and that's a 15-year commitment. Each year we would be paying so much from both districts for the 15-year term. And then we're asking for that 15-year term to be extended to 20-year, so that we would make additional 5 years of payments to account for the cost changes that had occurred since we entered into agreements. And then also give us the authority to negotiate for additional services for both districts. We can commit up to $33,000 per district for 15 years. So together between the two districts, it'd be $1 million or a 15-year period. That's the additional commitment that I'm asking your board to authorize me to negotiate for additional services. Just to kind of give you a sense, SASD spends roughly $150,000 to $200,000 a year, if not more, in our public education campaigns. There's the Stop the Clock or Call Us First. I mean, you may even have heard, I hear our ads now, they're running on the radio. It's important for us to have people know who to call and where, and this is going to continue to help in that regard in reaching out and also broadening to the demographics that we normally wouldn't otherwise reach with our traditional advertising. Small kids may not be listening to the radios or they may not be seeing the billboards and whatnot, but when they go to the science fair, they're somewhat of a captive audience going through and seeing these exhibits. So we see there's a great value for the district, and I think we also see the great value for the region to continue to see a powerhouse science center as a reality. So with that, those are the two recommendations that I'm making, that I ask that your board authorize me to, number one, extend our current agreement to 20 years, and then also authorize me to negotiate for additional services to make a commitment up to $1 million over the next 15-year period.
Director Hansen.
I'll wait until after public comment.
Director Frost.
I have a question relating to the $33,000 per year for educational services. Does that start after that's in place, or does that start right away?
We haven't negotiated. Those are part of the negotiations. I would imagine, again, I need to be working with them to see when that would start. But ultimately, our goal is to have, even though for 15 years, I want to see how far in the future that the service center, the Powerhouse Science Center, can provide those services to us. It's kind of longer term. I also want to look at that. To answer your question, I don't know whether it would be. So
it doesn't start though until the services start, basically.
Which I need to work with.
It's a commitment that when you get ready to go, we're on board for this, basically.
Yeah. Again, those are the logistics I need to work with the Powerhouse Science Center. I do not have those specific answer for that.
And I know that the Powerhouse is, it says in the report they're approaching several agencies. Do we know who they're approaching?
Yes, SMUD is one. I believe they are taking an action, I think, sometime this week. So they can update that when they're here.
Me too.
Definitely they can update who else they're through. I think they're talking with Kaiser and a number of local partners.
Great, thank you.
Once again, Director Hansen.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I really appreciate the work that Prabhakar has done with the Powerhouse Science Center team. I was on this board, and I'm happy to be back, but I was on this board a few years ago when we first brought this agreement forward. And at that time, many of us, myself included, weren't sure whether this project was really going to happen. But we want to be part of advancing the education for our youth and families in particular in the region about water quality, what we do as a district. And this was the best chance to do it. In the last 6 months, a lot of those worries about whether the project was viable and was going to happen, they've gone away. We're able to through some really hard work by the city, enter into a very favorable bond program that the federal government just eliminated at the end of the last calendar year that secured zero interest financing. But that was only half of the amount. So this opportunity before us now, as well as a few other things in the works, mean for certain that the project is going to happen. And I know that that lack of confidence has been one of the key issues we've had to work through, but I want to just thank, you didn't sign up to speak, but you're all staring at us. I want to thank the members of the Powerhouse Science Center board who are here, particularly Warren Smith, who has twisted my arms forward and backward over the past few years to make sure that I knew how important this project was. Harry Laswell, who's the executive director, Rachel Hazelwood, who's been doing the economic development work, Sam Smalls, who's the financial guy. Everybody's just been going nonstop for the last 4 or 5 months to make this thing happen. And to be part of that as the district, I think is a really strong sign that we're doing everything we can to educate the public. And so I just want to thank you, Prabhakar, you and your team for bringing this, and to thank the Powerhouse Science Center team for never giving up on the opportunity to bring science, math, engineering, and technology education in the free-form learning way that I had as a kid to our region. And so with that, I'll move approval of the item.
Okay, all right, we still have comments from board members. Director Nottoli.
Yeah, thank you. I want to just go back to the general topic of educational services. So we have this before us today, and I think it's certainly a very meritorious proposal. I guess what I want to ask about, though, so how are we outreaching? I know we've had discussion before this board about entering into an arrangement with either Sac City and or Elk Grove Unified as it relates to Miklos Ranch and some of the things out at the buffer lands. Recently, our board of supervisors had conversation about the SPLASH program, the environmental science effort that actually this district was a part of helping to establish, and they've seen some funding challenges as well. So how is it that we're doing either outreach? Are you just first ones to show up and make a call on it? Are you doing some sort of connectivity? Because I know the SPLASH program obviously does a very land-based science approach, hands-on with children and people of all ages, certainly at the vernal pools, and then what we're trying to do at the buffer lands. So I guess I'm curious for Bacher, again recognizing obviously this is the specific before us, but that was a question I wanted to ask before actually we got into the motion, was what do we do with educational services in general, and what about other needs? I assume there are others that know of projects either by school districts or other organizations that may very well take advantage of what the Powerhouse Science Center offers, but there are other opportunities in this community as well, both uplands as well as obviously in riverine habitats. So I'm curious, where are we at with the
In terms of making an active outreach, we have not started that, but in terms of SPLASH, we have reached out to them. Claudia has reached out to butlers to let them know that we have this program, that they could, and we have not yet, but I assume they would be reaching out to us, but that connection has been made.
Okay.
To Miklos Dairy, we are developing the programming to get the elementary school, so the exposure there is different than what we would expect from the Powerhouse Science Center. The exposure there is more one of the farming, historical nature, and also we would get some elements of our aspects in terms of the education. And also we're looking at developing curriculum for the high schoolers in terms of various trade type curriculum. So it's kind of a balance. You have a Powerhouse Science Center, maybe looking at the SPLASH and the Miklos Dairy, and the likes of which, or a balance that we're going to have to maintain. And with the funding that we have currently available, we would be able to do these things. It should not be an issue at this point.
Okay.
But again, there's no guarantee forever that would be the same way. I mean, if a downturn comes, we're not able to generate the revenue, we're going to have to make the cuts. Your board then again will be asked to make cuts in these programs.
Right, but we're making assurances in this case to ante up the commitment, and so that was kind of answered my question that I asked in a more general way, is that the capacity that's there, recognizing that each budget year we'll have to take it into consideration, but if we make long-term commitments, then we're going to honor those. Obviously, they're going to use it for proceeds to do their capital construction as well as the programming that may come on top of this, as you explained. So I just wanted to be clear that the capacity currently exists, and if we enter into commitments with other organizations, somebody needs to keep the tab so this board and its members can have an understanding kind of where we're at.
Yeah, so to help that,
and long term as well. So.
To help in the long term, so that you maintain some balance, some long-term commitments, we have reserves that we set aside reserves on both districts. So as we generate, right now we're generating more than what we're spending in that regard. So we can look at targeted one-time type of things and say, even though we put a bucket of money and then that will run you for 10 years or whatever it is, we can make those commitments. But again, I'm more looking at the next downturn, how do we manage and whatnot. So to the extent that we can, we will kind of bring the front load what that is for the next 10-year period or so. We can make those kinds of commitments.
Okay, thanks. Thank you.
Director Orozco.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. A few years ago, the City of West Sacramento entered into agreement with Waste Management to do a program where, coupled with early childhood educators, they launched a program to teach children to recycle, reuse, and reduce. So I know that our community is really eager to consume this type of information. I wanted to just request that Washington Unified School District reach out to our children in West Sacramento and Yolo County as well. We have learned that our youngsters have been ambassadors for this type of information and change and have brought it back to their families in culturally appropriate manners that have really affected a lot of difference in our community. So thank you so much for your efforts, and thank you for the Powerhouse team for being here with us today.
Oh, I would truly hopeful that the Powerhouse Science Center would be a premier thing for our region, so everybody can come in and the kids can.
Thank you.
And we will reach out to see if there are other things that we could be doing there. Right now, our focus, because of where we are at the plant, it's the Elk Grove Unified School District, right. Which is helping us with the curriculum development and whatnot. But certainly, that would be available for all the school districts.
Director Peters.
Yeah, minor comment, Prabhakar. In the way the staff report is written, I know obviously you're very aware there's two different districts, therefore two different funding sources, but I didn't think that it was made very clear in the staff report what the total commitment was. I mean, most people think of Regional San as one, well, Regional San is one organization, but the two of them together, so it would have been much more transparent, I think, to say, the total's $1.5 million or $2 million, whatever it is.
Just to give you that, so that everybody knows what it is, including the current agreement that we have, and assuming that we enter into an agreement that where we agree upon the services and the total that we're, including the payments we made to the future, we would be making about $1.65 million over the next 15-year period. That's split evenly between the two districts, so about $800,000 and change for each district over the next 15-year period. That's the totals.
Thank you.
All right, we do have one member of the public who would like to speak, Warren Smith.
Good afternoon, or good morning, I guess. Warren Smith. I'm on the board of the Powerhouse Science Center. I just want to thank you for the opportunity to speak and to be in front of you today. This has been a project of love for me. Frankly, I love Sacramento, as many of you know, but I also feel that we need to continue to grow. And we are, some of the our community is some of the underperformers on science and math scores in the country. So the whole goal here was to really help to educate the community and bring them up. And when we first talked, if you remember, one of the issues you were going through, you were looking at your financing and raising your fees. And a lot of people didn't know about the sanitation district and what it does. And we're going to have 320 some odd thousand people come through this facility, and you're funding basically a program or an exhibit that basically will educate and help to get people excited about, frankly, what you do. But this is really a regional effort. It just happens to be a project that sits in the city of West Sacramento, and with a building that's been empty and provided electricity in the very early part of our community. But the building's been empty for 60-plus years, and it's time that we do something with it, and we just felt that this was a great, great way to grow the Discovery Science program, which you've been huge supporters of over the years, into a much more impactful project. Couldn't be more excited about just how regional this is. This is a true public-private partnership. It was the private community ultimately that first, helped to fund our capital campaigns, Aerojets and PG&Es and SMUD, and then the local governments as well started to step in to really help. And so the city of West Sacramento, or city of Sacramento, had this building and had received it back from the state, and it's taken 10 years of programming to really figure out how to make the finances work. But we couldn't be more excited about where we are. And just so you know, today, with SMUD's commitment tomorrow night and yours, we'll be able to complete this financing and start construction in June. So I want to thank you for your consideration, and ultimately happy to answer any questions that you might have.
Thank you. Any questions? Okay, I just want to point out that the public is excited about what we do at least twice a day.
No, that's right. They just mean it. I didn't mean it that way.
Okay, with that, if there's no more questions, comments,
They're not drinking enough water, I don't think.
we have a motion by Director Hansen, a second by Director Serna. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstained? Thank you. Thank you for being here.
Chair Kennedy, I need a second motion from just an SASD person.
Okay.
I'll move for SASD.
Second.
All right, we have a motion by Director Bruins, second by Director Serna for SASD. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstained? Thank you.
Your final item is item number 6, miscellaneous director and district engineer matters.
The only thing I want to note is we will not have our second board meeting in February. So the next board meeting is on March 14th. And just so that you know, our last large project, the filtration, is out on the street, and the bids are opening on February 28th. I really want to hope that we won't have any more issues with it, and that we are good to award the project. It's a $370 million project.
Then don't hold your breath.
That's right. Anyway, that's all I have.
Okay.
And the rest of them are miscellaneous communication received. There are no actions needed on them.
All right, then we will receive and file. If there's no more questions, adjourn.
Hello?